Hello everyone, this is Ron from High Tech Legion.
Eric here.
And this is the fourth episode of In the Game. And Eric was out last week, I think having some dodgy pizza.
Yeah, I got hit with a bug. I was out Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, that's good. We have, for this week, we are back. We have our top... Yeah, we have our top five. We suddenly moved a little bit away just from straight up video game top fives last week. Now we have video game movies. Now this is not just about video game adaptation straight up, because let's face it, most of them are pretty bad. So this basically just about it doesn't. The movie has to revolve around video games, or the basic premise must involve video games. That is our criteria for this top five. And also we'll be discussing the latest news in the world of video games, and also, yeah, well, that's pretty much it. Latest news and top five. So let's start on top with that. Two new releases. Let's start with the tablet. Start small and work big. Start small with of course, the mobile games that recently came out on Tegra Zone. We got Expendables Rearmed. I know you've been playing that over the weekend, Eric.
Yeah, I've been playing. It's a fun time killing game. Kind of reminiscent of the old top-down shooter, Ikari Warriors, the old Smash, TV, that sort of thing. Top-down, you get a bunch of guns, you walk around. The nice thing with this is they implemented a lot of physics in it, and dynamic lighting. You can blow the stationary objects up. Grab things, you blow things up here and there, just come out. So it's a pretty fun game.
Yeah.
It's more like a rail game, so it's not like open like that. You follow it, at the end you get lost and go on to the next level.
And it also works on non-Tegra games, except of course you get all the effects if you have the latest Tegra 3. You got what, Tegra 2? Or the first gen one? Or?
Yeah, my phone's the LG Optimus 2X, so it's the G2X on T-Mobile.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was the first Tegra 2 phone.
Yeah, I don't remember this game. This was on the PC.
Well, I got some of them. I just don't get all of them.
Yeah.
All of the Tegra 3 ones they implemented.
Yeah.
I think it's just more lighting, graphics,
yeah.
That's all.
Well, hopefully Santa's listening. Maybe we get some Tegra 3s in our socks this holiday.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. My wife says she wants to get into a smartphone, so I'm thinking of giving.
Yeah. I remember this was a PC title, and I played the Japanese version, and they have also I can't remember what the original title was, but the Rearmed. It wasn't called Expendables Rearmed, of course, meaning that it was re-released, but Expendables, I think Millennium Warrior, I can't remember, that was, I believe, the original game, but they released it for the PC, but they took off once it came out for the Dreamcast. So this one is an update of that, much more graphical, sensitive, and of course, for those not familiar, it's a little bit like Contra, like Eric said, a little bit like Ikari Warriors. Very, very fun game. And also something came out not as fast-paced and action.
I mean, you mix like Contra, mix a card, mix Smash TV together.
yeah.
Mix all those together, you kind of get this top-down game.
And also came out not as, of course, fast-paced or as violent as this one, but Snooker UK International Snooker. Let me check the name, because International Snooker, yeah, it is an International Snooker Pro, and of course the interesting thing about it is that you can also play a non-snooker game. You can play a standard US 8 ball if you're not familiar with the UK rules. I know I'm not familiar with UK rules, and I
was asked to test this game out, and I said I don't fucking play snooker.
Yeah, luckily there's a US. Yeah,
I can play 9 ball.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it.
It was a card game.
I tried playing.
I was like, I want to play snooker.
Yeah, I tried playing snooker before. The tables are too big. It's really big because you have also a lot more balls. Plus, there's always a red ball. You have to alternate shooting them rather than straight pool. And also, you can play 8-ball and 9-ball here with the standard US. So players who are not familiar with snooker don't have to be, don't have to familiarize themselves with that. They can play with the regular 9-ball or 8-ball. So fun. And the good thing about it is that the physics is of course a lot better. The physics is a lot better. I know. I remember the last pool game I played was still in DOS back in '97. So this is a lot better now, and especially if you're an advanced player, you have to do trick shots and stuff like that.
Well, they have a couple pool games on the Play Store, but this one is the graphics are pretty awesome. I like it better. It plays very smooth. It feels better. Especially when you actually play the actual game. You want it long. It's not gesture related like all the others are. You got to pull stick back and then flick it forward.
Yeah.
Half the time if your phone's lagging, you get a text or something, fucks you up. Or you set your power gauge, you set your cue ball, and you hit a button and go. So it's a lot easier to play, and you can set guidelines too. So if you're doing got one bad eye, shitty at angles and depth and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You can actually put the guidelines up, and it'll kind of give you a hint on where the ball's going to go.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, if the controls suck, it's not worth playing. No matter how cool the graphics are, if you get
that's what pissed me off about the other pool games.
Yeah.
The other pool games, you had to pull the stick back and then you got to flip it forward. And if you got some background processors, if your screen just isn't,
yeah, it just lags. Yeah.
Correct.
Horrible.
Not recognizing your finger. Yeah, you miss the ball. You get like a dinky hit, and you have to shoot it down the other end of the table. It's, but I like this one. This one is, if you're into the pool game, this one's very good. Probably the best on the market.
Yeah, a lot more precise, and I think this International Snooker Pro is $4.99 right now at Tegra Zone, and while the Expendables Rearmed is only $2.99. So that's pretty interesting. I think there's a couple of levels in there. I don't know how big it is compared to the original game, but I mean it should be pretty fun. And also interesting, there is this new movie that's it might be on your top 5, but I won't spoil it. About covering these indie developers, following them. I think you can get it actually on their website and indiegamethemovie.com. I think it's like $9. You can just buy it there. And it's a pretty cool, interesting movie. And what interested me was that it kind of made me want to try out video game programming, especially after this one. I checked it out while we were in the topic of Tegra Zone. I went to the Tegra Zone website, and they have plenty of tools there for developers, and pretty much everything is an SDK now, and it's a lot easier than compared to back then when I was in high school and we were learning programming, and it felt like such a daunting task just trying to program from scratch, and everything has an SDK.
Oh yeah. Well, you had to make everything yourself. Time you would get a break as if somebody happened to have source code on something like that. But for the most part, you had to make everything yourself, or pay somebody big bucks, to license an engine, and, something like that. Just throw everything up for you. Just make your own games.
Yeah, it's I think I don't know what took them forever to just make SDKs like this. I don't know why not enough. I mean, everything's here already. With every SDK, the more they're utilizing your hardware, the more they can. I don't know why more hardware developers are not getting into this. So, I mean, kudos to Nvidia for doing it, because you can it's definitely a lot easier. It saves a lot of time, because for those who are not familiar with programming, of course, programming takes hours of your day. You're just going to be coding for hours.
Also, let's use the full extent of the Tegra. I remember a lot of these other processors, like the Qualcomm processors, Snapdragon, all that stuff. Unless you really know how to program to take advantage of multiple processors, you're probably a single core when you're playing these games, something like that. So, and with the new Tegra, they have the quad core, but also they have that companion core that they have on there.
Yeah.
So if you're not heavy duty stuff, you get power savings and all that shit. So it's nice to have these SDKs because you full advantage of technology.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more powerful in quad core. That was pretty much going to be the standard now. I can't wait what they come up with. They named their next generation processor already, so that should be interesting. What unfolds, especially during, I mean, we're coming up in CES. We should see a couple of cool things. We didn't get to spend a lot of time seeing all the cool Tegra stuff last year, but this year we should really take time and take a look at that, since tablets are pretty much.
Hopefully we'll get something free.
Yeah, a lot bigger now. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of Mexican people giving out hooker flyers. Those are free. That's pretty much while we were in CES. That's free. A couple of USB sticks.
Well, that's just Vegas in general.
Yeah,
Getting those hooker cards.
It's amazing. Well, anyway, Vegas should be interesting this year. Well, anyway, the next couple of releases now. We've talked about the mobile games. A couple of big releases now. Black Ops 2, and I think coming out next week. Something, well, actually this week, I think the 14th. And also Medal of Honor Warfighter. And the interesting thing about these are not just the games themselves, but the news that came out recently. I know you've probably heard about this. The Navy SEALs who EA consulted were kind of reprimanded for doing pretty much disclosing their.
They got hit bad.
Yeah, just consulting and disclosing.
I think they got, reprimanded for discharge.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, from here you can kind of glean a couple of things, like they can't possibly be getting paid well if they have to do this. I mean, they have been pretty quiet for a long time. So what's different now? That they probably, I don't know. Is the government not paying them enough?
Well, from what they said, that they gave away some like Osama bin Laden secrets or something like that about like what happened, some top secret shit. And the way that I look at it is, if you're still active duty, you shouldn't be saying anything. Whatsoever. I mean, I don't even know why they're collaborating with video game makers if they're still active duty. That's something you go to retirees for.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why. Yeah, I mean, also, how authentic does EA really want to be with their games? After a certain point.
Well, yeah, what does it matter?
Yeah, I mean.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I don't.
Video game.
I never really cared whether it's authentic or not, whether you consult or not. I mean, after a certain level, yeah, like the accuracy, like just basic stuff. But I don't need to learn about the nuances of the missions, stuff like that. I don't need to recreate it in the game. It's a little bit too stupid. I mean, sometimes you can just fictionalize that. Just hire a good writer. Good fiction writer.
Well, just fill in the blanks yourself. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Or like there's
top secret information. That people that know it.
Yeah, and plus I think there's plenty of declassified documents where they can kind of just modernize it, like from Vietnam. I mean, those are pretty much declassified now. And I don't understand, but it's just bad. And also, how many war games are they going to be?
Your mouth should be shut.
Yeah. Plus, how many war games are they going to be making still? Is it still cool to make war games? I mean, how many Call of Duty games are there going to...
Apparently, it's going to go forever.
We need something new.
So even if they run out of shit, they still just make another World War II game or something.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it will be like War of 1812 soon or something. Someday we'll go back. Something better, Modern Warfare, World War II. Anyway, let's see what else is in the news this week. Oh, forgot to mention Hawken, the beta. I don't know if you have played a bit. I played a bit. You have your beta key, right? Of course, for those who are... For those who still want the beta key, we will be giving away a beta key all the way until the beta is over. We just send an email to game@hightechlegion.com. You don't even need to like our page on Facebook. Just send an email there. We got like 700 keys left. Plenty of keys to give away. Just send an email there. We'll be playing. We haven't scheduled what day we'll be playing it, but we'll be playing. I'll record a quick review of that. We'll probably I'll edit it in the next in the game video we do next episode. And That pretty much is in the news. I don't know. We have. I don't know if you played any new games this week, other than the ones we talked about previously.
What's up?
Have you played any games this week? Any new games? Did you buy any new games or?
Oh, new games? No, I play Madden. I like keeping up with Madden.
Yeah, I played a little bit of hockey.
I like doing the ultimate. I like doing the ultimate team because they keep up with the times and they always put up like a new fantasy thing. And like each week they have a coin thing where like if you pick the right player, you get a lot of points. For the Sunday night game. So yeah, that's pretty much the game I really keep up with right now. Is Madden.
I'm surprised they don't make a movie for that yet. Madden the movie. The video game, the movie. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
We should just start picking a movie, our top 5. Before we can do our top 5, we can talk about the bad video game movies for now. I mean, there are plenty. That's we can easily make a top 10 or top 20 each because pretty much 90% of video game movies are bad. I don't know why. Well, I can see why.
But I don't think we got 10 or 20 of like good ones. We can do like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Because there aren't really any that are good.
I mean, some are just pretty. Like I don't know if you've seen Mario Brothers the movie, but that movie is just all kinds of bad.
Oh yeah, I saw it when it first came out.
Yeah, it was. Well, first it came out like 10 years after Nintendo, kind of. After Nintendo hit their peak.
Like 92 or
yeah, it came out like 92 instead of like back in the late 80s. And then the Mario and Luigi, I think it was. I can't remember who Mario was, but Luigi was. He played John Leguizamo as Luigi. He was actually quite charming in that movie.
But Italian.
Yeah. And the worst part was I don't know if the worst part, but King Koopa was Dennis Hopper, and they were the plot was that he was trying to change humans into dinosaurs. It really had no bearing on the video game at all, so I think they didn't understand.
Yeah, it was horrible. Maybe at the time I was a little kid, so it was fine.
I was watching. It's like, what is this? What's going on? And the tone was weird because it was. I don't know, it was trying to be funny, but some seemed a little bit too dark in some areas, like the tone of it. But I don't know. But the Turtles movie were pretty good.
I mean, at that time they had a Super Mario Super Show on TV.
Yeah, that was good. They got that right. Doesn't it around the same time? I remember that. Captain Lou Albano.
Have you seen that, the Super Mario Super Show?
Yeah, I was with Captain Lou Albano as Mario, right?
Yeah, Captain Neo.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Captain Lou Albano, the wrestler, was Mario, and it was that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. They had like they were splicing cartoons in between, and I remember they even had an episode where I think Milli Vanilli performed for Princess Peach.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
The half cereal that half the box was Link and half the box was like Super Mario.
Yeah. And there was also, what was that cartoon? Captain N. It had Mega Man.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think that was late 90s or late 80s.
Yeah, that was early 90s definitely. It was Captain N.
I just remember I carried the Zapper. I always had my Zapper.
Yeah.
I wanted the Power Glove. I never got the Power Glove.
Yeah, that's a bit weird because there's actually for those there are probably people who know this guy, but if you're familiar with the video game community, Street Fighter, competitive Street Fighter community, there is this clan called Empire Arcadia, and it was run by this guy who basically wore a Power Glove the entire time. I can't remember his name. I don't know if I've met him before, but he came up here in Toronto, I think, for one major tournament, and he would always wear a Power Glove for no reason, just on his daily life. So he's definitely, he's definitely one of those.
Well, people, they want to make their little trademarks. So
yeah.
Try to do those stupid things. They put masks on their faces and fucking wear shit.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they made a glove controller after that. Was that the only glove controller available? I don't think so.
So that's the only one I remember.
If Nintendo's listening, maybe it's time to revive that Power Glove 2.
Yeah.
Well, now with motion control.
You can just take it. You can just build a glove and then stick the Wii move.
Yeah, with motion controller, that's it. I mean, it could work. I don't know why not. They'd sell a ton of it. And also, I don't know. I mean, I saw Doom recently on Netflix because it was on Netflix, and it was a bad movie. There was no story to begin with. Doom didn't really have a good story to begin with, but that was bad.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it didn't make any sense. How is the final guy The Rock? You know what I mean? Like you take Dwayne Johnson and he's like the bad guy. Just like the devil. They
had to put in that first person view camera shot, which was I started laughing when that came out.
That was cool. That was like the only cool thing about the movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, pretty much. And just a lot of horrible ones. I was making my top 5, I actually was gonna think. I think Mortal Kombat could make it, but I need to think. But that wasn't.
Yeah, there were 2 games that were like honorable mentions. I think for me, one was Mortal Kombat. I mean, at the time, it was a really good movie. Had an awesome soundtrack.
Plus, it was accurate. It was faithful to the source. Yeah.
But it was true to the game.
Yeah.
It's like completely true to the game. And who can forget the fucking techno song?
Yeah.
Fucking
That's what's cool about it. Was unlike Street Fighter, which came out the same day. It was like really bad with Van Damme as Guile, the all-American character, Guile.
Yeah, that was stupid. I don't understand how they do those stupid character choices. Like even in Mortal Kombat, Raiden was fucking what's his face? Like
Christopher Lambert.
I forget his name.
Yeah, the French guy.
Yeah, Christopher Lambert was Raiden.
Highlander. Yeah, he was Highlander, and then he was Raiden. But it wasn't compared to Street Fighter and compared to other video game movies. I mean, Mortal Kombat is like a 5 out of 10, but it didn't make my top 5. Thankfully, I looked hard enough.
Yeah, my other honorable mention would be the first Resident Evil, because even though it was kind of from the game, like
same director as Mortal Kombat, I believe, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, it was still really well done. Really good at its time.
Yeah, and that before it deviated and
now they just milk.
It's not. Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah, I mean these movies are basically not really made for North American audiences. They're just for international audiences. They just want to see a hot girl and just special effects. That's why they keep the dialogue simple so that foreign viewers can understand it, can easily translate it to different languages. That's why they make more of their money. Than local ones.
What pissed me off most about the whole Resident Evil series is they turned it into fucking like Matrix, where like Alice goes all Neo now, and she's like fucking super soldier. Like it's really come on.
Yeah, well, because it
has nothing to do with Resident Evil anymore.
It was just the director's wife. Like he just needed a vehicle, so he gets paid and she gets paid, and she gets her own franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, it has nothing to do with
Resident Evil. I mean, I saw the Resident Evil cartoons. It was actually 3D graphics cartoons. Those were actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I like them, the Degeneration and all that.
Yeah,
I'm like a Japan and that sort of thing. So I like those types of movies. I mean, I don't put it on my top, but those are pretty.
Yeah, a lot better than they're definitely Resident Evil though. Yeah, but the first one, it's almost good, but not yet. Well, we can start with our top 5. I think you should start with your number 5.
Yeah, so my number 5 is King of Kong. It's a documentary about Billy Mitchell and then this unknown guy that comes and tries to break his record. If you don't know who Billy Mitchell is, he's the guy who set the world record for Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong,
centipede. And it's funny because they portray him as this like big asshole throughout the movie. And it's funny because when you talk to people, he's really not that big of an asshole, but they just portray him as this pompous asshole the whole movie. which is just
They
hilarious.
did a good job doing it, though. They did a really good job doing that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
This was actually I was
And he like inherits.
yeah, I was thinking of putting this in my number one just because how fun this movie was. This is just amazing, and it was brilliant that the way they even have the underdog, and it was pretty much like Rocky but Donkey Kong. And as somebody who actually I spent a lot of time playing competitive Street Fighter back when I was younger, and a lot of that feeling, that excitement would come. It just gets back to its personal level.
The funniest thing about the whole movie was like how Billy Mitchell was like pissed that dude sent him the video. It wasn't authentic unless you were there.
Yeah.
And then after he gets beat, he sends in a video. He sends in a video afterwards, like of him rebeating it and getting a high score again. It's just like, come on.
That was brilliant. There's a touching moment too where he was reaching the glitch screen, and his daughter needed him, and he had to stop playing. He had to repeat it. And he even had the arcade in his garage. That was just a brilliant movie. We're not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna spoil anymore because this. People really need to watch. Even people who don't play video games, know nothing about it. You'll get 15 minutes in, you're in. It's that good.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely just buy the DVD. Amazon.com. Click to our link through so you help us. So link at the bottom.
Yeah.
And my number 5, not as good because I had to make a top 5. I changed my top 5 I think 3 times now. And I moved this up.
I had to rearrange some stuff.
This one I had to watch it and Mortal Kombat over the weekend just so I could just quickly watch it to see if it not as bad as the critics say and as the people said. That a lot of Disney movies are getting flack lately, but Prince of Persia is actually not bad. It was fun but it is meant for kids. It's not a
yeah. I mean, Prince of Persia is it's like a Mario type game. You're going to save the princess. So
yeah.
I mean, if you want to base it off the actual game, you just run through a maze and you fucking save the princess. That's the game.
Yeah, so, pretty much. The only annoying thing was
the can go anywhere it wants to go.
Yeah, the only annoying thing was they overdid the British accent. It was a little bit distracting in that regard, but it's fun. Especially, it's made for kids. It's Disney. I mean, what you expect? But it's definitely not as bad as people told me it was. But it wasn't definitely not horrible.
No, I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think it was like. I think people were expecting more, but you gotta remember, Disney made it. It's a kids movie.
Yeah. The action was there. Yeah, the action was a lot better than the last fucking. What was that? What was that Alexander movie with what's his name? The Irish guy. Played Bullseye in Daredevil.
You're thinking John Carpenter?
No. Angelina Jolie played his mom in this Alexander. Alexander the Great, the movie. It was that was really horrible. I can't even say, not even worth remembering. What's his name? Colin Farrell. That movie where he played Alexander the Great. Came out like 5 years ago. Yeah, it was really horrible. Yeah. So this one, Prince of Persia is a lot better than that. A lot more, definitely a lot more exciting to watch than that. And what's your number 4?
Yeah. My number 4, now this isn't the traditional version of it. It's the director's cut of it, Man. Because the traditional one, they really rushed through it and it was kind of shitty. But if you got the director's cut version, you got a lot more character development. There's a lot more extra scenes going on. It's a really good movie. But yeah, mine's Lawnmower Man. If you haven't seen Lawnmower Man, it had Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fawley. And basically, it was about Pierce Brosnan was a scientist, and he was working for the government, trying to find ways to crack intelligence and makers. And the way he did it was with a mixture of drugs and like 3D gaming, like old school 3D.
Yeah.
So for its time, it was like kind of crazy. But yeah, it was and then Jeff Fawley played this
autistic kind of
guy. Yeah, like he was like weirdly he was slow.
Yeah.
Slow like Michael Jackson, then slow. And yeah, he basically he basically turns into this crazy, ultra super smart guy who gets like these telekinetic powers and can start controlling things around him. And he eventually figures out he needs to evolve further, and then he wants to become pure energy.
I actually saw the. I believe I saw this in theaters. I didn't see the director's cut, and I liked the original one as well. I have to watch. I guess I have to go pick up the DVD of the director's cut.
The problem with the director's cut was that they only, at the time when it was all released on VHS and stuff, the director's cut was only released on Laserdisc.
A Laserdisc, yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it. Yeah. And just describe this. Just describe to those who are younger than. Just describe to our younger audience how big the laser discs were, which were
that ages me right.
Yeah, man, this big. It is crazy. The funny thing was there was still around.
It looked like a record.
The funny thing was around 1999.
But it was a record.
There was still near my house, my old house when I was in high school. There was still this rental place. They're owned by this Chinese couple, and they had a lot of Laserdisc for rental. And I would play our arcade game there as well, because they have a Marvel Street vs Street Fighter there. But the small room where they had the porno Laserdisc, there was always this old guy renting gigantic Laserdiscs of porn. And you can't hide it because it's like 12 by 12. It's not very discreet. I
think that's why my uncle had it. I think he watched a lot of porn with this.
It's hard to hide. It's like gigantic. And anyway, Lawnmower Man, number 4. That was around that time. There was a lot of these like virtual reality. Everybody was obsessed with virtual reality. There was even.
Yeah, that was a big thing at that time. That was huge at that time.
From 92 to like 94, pretty much everything had virtual reality in it. There was even like this erotic thriller starting with Demi Moore that had like the virtual reality. It's like, what? You had to put it into everything. But of course, nothing happened. Nobody knew the internet was coming. But everybody thought virtual reality was coming. But that's pretty much it. My number 4. Let me find my notes here. Since I switched it around like 3 times, I can't find my notes here. Here we go. My number 4 was originally I was looking at it, but then I figured my number 4 and number 3 is almost the same anyway. They came out. They're also from Disney. Came out around the same time, so I'm just gonna remove number 4 and move my previous number 5 to this one. This is Tron is my number 4 now. And of course, for those not familiar, not the new remake Tron, the old Tron, which was essentially about Jeff Daniels, I think, was a game developer. It's one of those first ones where he was a game developer, but everybody liked him and he was cool. And they also have
the original Tron. I mean, it's a classic movie. It didn't hit big, but it was like a cult classic with all the games and stuff. And all the kids.
I'm not sure. I think I was too young when it came out in theaters. I think 1983. I think I'm not sure, but I think it flopped in the theaters and only kind of got a cult status on home video or later on during a like after release when the Atari craze kicked in, like the home console and not just for the arcades, but definitely a cool movie. It was interesting. The visuals are interesting. It was dark, but it was still fun. It wasn't. It was definitely something very unique, and the visuals. It's interesting where they're taking this franchise into. And what's your number 3?
My number 3 is it came out around the same time as Tron. It's War Games.
Yes.
And you remember this? I mean, they still.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick, this child hacker. Hacks into a government computer and thinks he's playing games, and then all of a sudden it turned out to be a simulation, and the government takes it for real and thinks they're being invaded, going to be bombed by Russia.
And of course, based on a real life event, I think I've seen. Have you seen the photos of the real nerds who were involved in this? in the story.
Yeah, a long time ago, they had a thing that came out.
Yeah, there. I gotta find a photo because they were like classic nerds, like 80s nerds, like trading floppy nerds. They're not. Yeah,
Glasses.
yeah, they're not Matthew Broderick. These guys are like beyond nerd, and it is
Yeah, you know.
yeah, definitely. It still holds up too. This yeah, despite the
Yeah,
old
they still replay. They still play it all
yeah,
the time.
despite the old technology, it holds up well. It's interesting. It's interesting to watch. Just kind of like a Cold War drama. It's very interesting. Definitely watch that. I should watch that again this weekend. Should be interesting. And my number 3 is what's my number 3? Ah, this one. Another one. Kind of like Tron, arcade centric, but this is a story of a boy who is good at video games, so good that he was recruited to fight an intergalactic space battle. The aliens put this, of course, the last Starfighter, and pretty much every video gamer's fantasy that you are so good in video games. What the plot was that the aliens put in this arcade game, the last Starfighter, to kind of find humans who are good enough or really good at controlling the spaceships that will fight for their battle, and to recruit them. And that is just where it's such a simple premise but brilliant in that it kind of attracts every video game playing person, really, who doesn't have this fantasy.
Doing now, like with the drones, you know,
Yeah.
people that are good with joysticks and fighting. Now we're doing it with drone strikes and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, people sitting in the trailer while they're fucking bumping.
Definitely. I mean, pretty much everything is simulation, so it's not really surprising. But it is also, I mean, at its core, is essentially a Star Wars ripoff, but it has some fun elements in it that make it original. They have some. They actually, I think, if I recall correctly, they actually sent like an android clone of him to kind of replace him, while his girlfriend wanted to get laid, and I think there was some hilarity in there. He's trying to turn this android on. I can't even remember if this is the same movie I'm thinking of or not. It's been a long time ago. I haven't seen this since the early '90s, so. This one was 1984, I think, 80 something like that. Really early, no consoles yet. So
Yeah, that all came out. These are all those weird games that or movies that came out at the same time.
yeah,
You know, that was kind of like the trend.
yeah, a lot of fantasy movies. That's definitely interesting. If you get a chance to watch that, try to. I don't know if I don't think it's in Netflix. It's Netflix. Is it available on DVD at all? I'm not even sure if they re-released this in DVD. If it's big enough, but yeah,
it might be. It might be.
Yeah. I tried to Google that. I'll put that. Yeah. So next is number 2. We're down to number 2. Your number 2?
Now my 2 is Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, and you know, for me, it was, you know, that was kind of the peak when I was like super big into computers and gaming and that sort of thing. And then, you know, here's this fully CG movie using all the latest technologies that, you know, I've been playing on. And then, you know, it was just completely awesome for its time. You can watch it now; it's still pretty dope. You know, so it was. I love Final Fantasy, and you know, the movie really is kind of story isn't in line with any of the games or anything like that. If you wanted something in line with the games, you'd watch like Advent Children, Final Fantasy movies. This one was kind of whole reimagining. They still
they just took some elements of the Final Fantasy series, but not the actual. Yeah, it's not.
I think they just kind of used the name and some of the plot of Final Fantasy, you know, with the whole stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the time, you know, the graphics were just insane. They're
quite amazing.
Japan.
Yeah.
You know, they were starting to come out with Japan animes that were fully CG too. So, you know, for me, Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, that was kind of at the peak for me.
Yeah. I think it was 2001, right? Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it was like 2001.
Yeah, I remember seeing the female lead in there showing up in like Maxim and Stuff magazine because they're showing off the detail.
Well, that was they were showing like the movie. And they're like, this stuff's all computer generated. You know, and even like if you watch Avatar today, yeah, it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
half the stuff is actually real, and they just kind of threw it over and generated it later.
But the funny thing is now is that
from scratch, all CG.
The funny thing is that now that if you go back and look at how big their computer systems were, what the rendering farm was to render a minute of that Final Fantasy movie, how many computers they used to do that? Yeah, back in 2001.
They had like a warehouse full of computers.
Yeah, like an SGI farm. Yeah. But so that is number 2, Final Fantasy X number 2. And my number 2 is this one, another similar in line to Last Starfighter. Pretty much a video game fantasy. It is The Wizard. I think everybody knows this little Fred Savage gem about a kid who's so good at playing a video game. He has to travel and compete in the, I think, U.S. National Championship. Of course, I'll spoil what the last game is because I think everybody knows what the last game they play is now. Super Mario 3. I think that it was unveiled in that movie, right? It was released the first time everybody saw it was in that game movie. So it was. They
like canceled that game in the movie before they released it, I thought.
Yeah, that was cool, and also I think was in here Jenny Lewis from Ryle Kiley was the female in there, and then also I can't remember who the third actor is, but there was a couple of forgotten children actors, but it was definitely a fun. It was definitely a fun game. I mean, rather fun movie, and just the fact that they had.
Yeah, didn't you walk around with the power glove?
Yeah. One kid had the kid in the, I can't remember his name, but the kid in the arcade, I think the one he saw while they were traveling. But just the idea that they actually had Super Mario 3 unveiled for the first time in a movie. Imagine a game like that coming out now. Well, I mean, now video games are actually make a lot more money than movies, so I think it's opposite now. It's the movie industry getting credit for adopting video games.
Yeah.
And your number 1 in top 5 video game movies?
You mentioned it earlier. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. It's called Indie Game. And actually, this is a recent watch. I watched this probably. It came on Netflix not too long ago.
Yeah.
A month ago.
It's not available up here, but you can. Yeah, it's not available up here in Canada, but you can buy it on iTunes. You can buy it at indiegamethemovie.com for like $9.99, I think. You can stream it, buy it, download whatever format.
Yeah, and it follows the creators of Super Meat Boy, Braid,
Fez.
Fez, and before the releases, basically during the whole entire process, except for Braid. For Braid, I think Braid, because it was already kind of, but you basically get to see Super Meat Boy from like inception to release, and like
that was cool. Yeah,
gamers go through, or indie developers go through, and the difference between doing it independently, a company like Microsoft and getting thrown bait and having, and just these indie developers and their, it's a really good look into the mind of game developers.
Yeah.
Like just how crazy they are and how just messed up, and how almost every time they make a game, it's like a reflection of their life. You know what I mean? Like they always it's always personal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
And to me, it's a real deep. It's a deep emotional movie.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it. That's why it was my number. It's one of those movies you kind of root for the underdog, that kind of relate to a lot of, especially if you're like a geeky nerd type person. I liked it a lot. That's why it's my number 1 is Indie Game.
Yeah, I saw a few minutes of it. I'm gonna continue watching it later. I only saw a few minutes of it. I just bought it off their website, and also the cool thing about it is that you can yeah, like you said, you can see the development from inception, and you can really feel when the guy says that he's gonna kill himself, he can't finish the game, and it's
Oh god, the guys who developed Super Meat Boy was hilarious because I was watching it with a buddy at work, and he was like, when they released Super Meat Boy, like that he was supposed to be on an advertising campaign,
yeah,
and like the one dude like was like, where is it, like. And then they cut to the other guy and his girlfriend. Like, my friend at work was like, the dude probably just hung himself. Because he was calling. He's dead in the cold somewhere because he didn't get on that advertising campaign.
Yeah, it is brutal. It is, and it's beautifully shot too. It's all digital, but it's beautifully shot. So definitely, it's only $9.99. It's definitely worth watching. Like Eric said, it is his number one, and my number one is another movie I saw recently. Is quite. It's not a Pixar movie, but it is a Disney movie. I think John Lasseter was involved, so it is called Wreck-It Ralph. You should see the billboard everywhere. It's so everybody should know. It is what it treats video games very well. Like it actually understands video games, and it actually uses real characters. So it has Q-Bert, it has the Street Fighter guys, it has Zangief and Bison. There are actually lots of tiny details too, like homages for like this the scene where just off the camera where what's his name from Sonic gets hit and there's like rings coming out. There's little things like that, and even if you go to the profile and the character profiles on the website, and Bison has like skills, psycho crushing, and it's actually like his actual moves from Street Fighter. So that's a cool thing to have. Just the and there's also there's heart in it. The end will almost make you cry. It's good to take kids on it. It's I can't even describe it. I don't want to describe it because
but I want to see it.
It is definitely a labor of love, especially to somebody that it's interesting that because we talked about the bad movies, which were back when people did not understand video games. This is definitely the age where we kind of have an understanding how important video games are in our lives, and just not just how they work, but kind of how much of a part of our lives they are, especially our society. So it's interesting. This is kind of like the amalgamation of all that. This Wreck-It Ralph, very interesting. I'm not even gonna say the plot. The plot is basically just some. It's kind of like a Donkey Kong type game, but what if Donkey Kong kind of decides to be?
Well, it's a bad guy
wants to be turn to a good guy. That's pretty much it. Basic premise, but definitely well executed. And a couple of I think I don't know if you have some other runoffs that didn't make the title. I have some that but I was gonna put in here, but I figured they're not really video game movies. There's some that are video game influenced. There's this Thai movie, I think the sequel to Ong Bak, which was The Protector. See here, the plot is basically just some guy loses his elephant and he has to rescue it. But that's why it didn't make my top 5. But yeah,
he's a good martial artist.
Yeah, there are plenty of scenes where it's obviously very lifted directly from video games, like that scene where it's kind of like reminiscent of Final Fight, where he's beating up these kind of like street thugs with like holding like bars. The only thing the scene needed was like food coming out of the barrel when he cracks it open or something. But and also the next scene, there was the scene where he was going up the stairs and was beating up people as he goes to the final boss in the top, and also that scene where there's a burning temple, kind of like a Tekken game where you would he was fighting some Eddie Gordo type character. He was fighting some guy in capoeira while the temple was burning. It's one of those, a lot of kind of video game imagery they used in there. Not exactly a video game movie, but definitely another recommended movie that's kind of highly influenced by video games. And
I have this is a cheesy one, but it's like one of my most remembered ones as a kid. Have you ever seen Brain Scan?
Yeah.
It had Edward Furlong in it. I think
Yeah.
it was before Terminator.
Yeah, it was.
Like that whole virtual reality thing.
Yeah, another virtual reality
They
period.
put on this helmet, they go into this VR game that's like super real, and then it turns out he's actually killing people.
Yeah, I remember that. That was another virtual reality. Everyone was just obsessed with virtual reality back then. Somebody should revive that technology. Well, actually, they kind of revived it with the Google Eye thingy. the augmented reality. That's pretty much it. Evolved into that now, augmented reality, which is a lot more practical and usable. Edward Furlong killing people. Yeah, I remember that. I think he woke up. The first one was he woke up, but there was like a head in the freezer, and he couldn't remember what it was in the game.
I remember that movie because I saw it like when I was a kid, kind of like a teenager after it came out.
Yeah.
It was right after it was like on Showtime or HBO or something like that.
Yeah, it should be pretty fun to watch it now.
You put on the thing and like think he's playing the game and really just killing people.
I'll definitely check those out. We have an Amazon link at the bottom where you can. All you need to do is clear your cookies, click that, and then it will help us for the site. You don't need. There's no additional payment. We don't rely on donations or anything like that. We don't have sponsors, so click on that. It helps the entire website, or just to pay for hosting fees and stuff like that. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's 15 minutes this week. A little bit longer, 33 seconds. 50 minutes and 33 seconds. And also, speaking of indie games, Hulkin is being developed by indie developer Adhesive Games. We have game keys for the beta. We'll be giving it away until the beta is over. Just send an email to game@hightechlegion.com. You don't have to like our Facebook page. Just send an email there if you want the beta key. I'll send it out every night, Eastern time, of course, until the beta is over. That's pretty much it. This episode was a couple of restarts, but it was pretty cool. It was 51 minutes long episode, longest episode yet, episode 4. Anyway, see you next week for another installment of In the Game. And this is Ron signing out. We don't have a sign out yet. We were supposed to discuss the thing, but we don't have time. We'll discuss it next week. Again, thanks for all the comments. Keep on leaving comments in the YouTube thing. We'll discuss it. And again, thanks for watching. See you next time.